So we continue our review of rational numbers, fractions, mixed numbers, decimals, etc. Now we're going to move on to multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. So we're going to review how to multiply fractions. Now when we had done this in class, we had summarized it into 3 steps. We had summarized the process of multiplying fractions into 3 steps. So in your textbook, they explain that you're just going to multiply numerators straight across and denominators straight across. But what if we have a whole number, or what if we have a mixed number? So here are the 3 steps that are going to be essential to you remembering how to multiply fractions. The first step is to turn all whole numbers and or mixed numbers into improper fractions. Then you multiply straight across, then you simplify. So if I want to multiply 1/2 by 1/3, according to what I just told you was the 3-step process, I have no whole numbers or mixed numbers, so I can actually just multiply straight across. So I'm going to have 1 times 1 over 2 times 3, which is going to give me 1 over 6. In this case, I actually do have a whole number. So they told me I need to turn whole numbers into improper fractions. So in this case, I know that in order to make 2 a fraction, it's just going to be 2 over 1 times -3/4. My sign rules tells me that if I have a positive times a negative, my answer is going to be a negative. So 2 times -3 is going to be -6. Over 1 times 4, that's 4. That's going to reduce to -1 and 2/4. Once I pull that negative out, I can attach it to the whole number, which is -1 and 1/2. Now, we had talked about cross-reducing in class. So some of you might have looked at this and said, well, can't I cross-reduce before I multiply? So can't I look at this and say, well, I know that 2 and 4 have a common factor of 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now if I multiply straight across, I get -3 over 2, which is also equal to -1 and 1/2. So both methods are correct. Both methods get you to the same answer. Cross-reduction, whenever you see that you can cross-reduce values, is just going to get you to your answer a little more quickly. So if I want to do 2/7 multiplied by -3/8, again, no whole numbers, no mixed numbers, so I'm going to multiply straight across, multiply by -3/8. So 2 times -3 is going to be -6. 7 times 8 is going to be 56. I can reduce by 2 in the numerator and the denominator. That's going to give me -3 out of 28. Now, in this particular example, I could have cross-reduced, so I'm going to show you with cross-reduction. 2 over 7 multiplied by -3/8. I know that 2 and 8 have a common factor of 2. Divided by 2 is 1, but divided by 2 is 4. 1 times -3 is -3. 7 times 4 is 28. So that gives us, again, the same answer. Alright, so here we have a mixed number, so we're going to need to turn that into an improper fraction. So I'm going to leave the 1/2 alone, times, and if you forgot how to change mixed numbers into improper fractions, we use something called the circle method, where I do 4 times 5, which is 20, and then whatever I get from there, I add it to the numerator. 20 plus 2 is 22, and I leave my denominator as 5. So 1 times 22 is going to equal to 22. 2 times 5 is going to equal to 10. So in this case, I'm going to have 2 and 2/10, which is equal to 2 and 1/5. Again, this particular problem does allow us to cross-reduce, so 1/2 multiplied by 22/5. I can cross-reduce those by a factor of 2. So I get 11/5, which again is going to be 2 and 1/5. Okay? Alright, so when we're dividing fractions, it's much like multiplying fractions. If we think about, 4 divided by 2, we know that's going to equal to 2. Well, the reason I say that multiplying fractions and dividing fractions are very similar, 4 divided by 2 is the same thing as 4 multiplied by 1/2. In this case, I have 4 over 2, which is just 2. So when we are dividing fraction, it's this 4-step process, okay? So the first step is always going to be the same. Turn all whole numbers and or mixed numbers into improper fractions. Always going to be the same as multiplication. flip the second fraction is the second step, and multiply straight across is the third step, and then simplify. Alright, so step 1, turn all whole numbers into improper fractions. So this is going to become 1/3 divided by 5 over 1. Step 2 was to flip the second fraction, so that's going to be 1/3 and 1/5. I'm going to do step 2 and 3 all in one, and then they say to, and again if you forgot, alright, so I'm doing step 2 and 3 all in one. So they told me to flip and then switch that to multiplication and multiply straight across. Well, 1 times 1 is going to be 1. 3 times 5 is going to be 15. There is my answer. Alright, so 3/4 divided by -1/2. Again, I'm going to leave the first fraction alone. 3/4. I'm going to flip the second fraction, -2 over 1. And then I'm going to multiply straight across. So that's going to give me -6 over 4, which equals to -1 and 2/4, which is -1 and 1/2. Again, I could have cross-reduced in this example. 3/4 multiplied by -2 over 1. 4 and -2 have a factor of 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So 3 times -1 is going to give me -3. 2 times 1 is going to give me 2. Again, I get -1 and 1/2. Same answer. Okay, so 2/3 divided by 3 and 1/3. This is going to be our last example. So the first thing I need to do is to change all mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 3 and 1/3, that's going to be 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 10 over 3. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. 2/3, flip the second fraction, 3/10, and switch to multiplication. 2 times 3 is going to be 6. 3 times 10 is going to be 30. That can be reduced by 6, both in the numerator and the denominator, giving me 1/5. Now here's an example of a problem that is greatly simplified by cross-reducing. So when I got to the point where I was doing 2/3 multiplied by 3/10, I could have seen that 3 and 3 had common factors of 3, giving me 1 and 1. 2 and 10 have common factors of 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 1 multiplied by 1 is going to give me 1. 1 multiplied by 5 is going to give me 5. Okay? So another example of where cross-reducing might make your workload a little bit less. So there's our review on multiplying and dividing. That was the last part of the chapter on rational numbers. I hope that your review will provide helpful, and good luck. We'll get working on chapter 1, on the chapter on proportional relationships, starting tomorrow.